When mankind finally ventured out into space, we never suspected what was to come. Our first inhabited planet was less than 30 light years away, far closer than we would have thought. The issue: everyone was dead. A perfectly stable world with no visible problems. And yet, their rates of self-termination were the greatest cause of death. We don't know why, but they had apparently been doing this for quite some time. Years of study later showed that the reptile-like race had taken nearly 10 times as long as we did to reach the industrial age. They had not gone very far beyond that. Time went on, and we soon discovered that this was not an isolated occurrence. Species after species had killed each other off for one reason or another. Some had vanished so early that only a few stone monuments marked their existence, while others had built empires spanning a dozen systems or more. But always, they were all dead, down to the last child. And so we traveled the stars, colonizing the lost homeworlds we found, along with others. We learned from the creatures of many worlds, although none bore intelligent life. In time, we investigated the technology of the more advanced dead races, gleaning a scientific secret or two we had missed. It was almost amusing to see the entire scientific community collectively slap their heads when they realized the simple ideas they had overlooked. Once, and just once, we found a sentient race still alive. On a planet with 3/4 the gravity of Earth, a planet primarily dominated by jungles, bore a race of insect-like scavengers. They were barely beyond the Stone Age, agriculture and farming still in its very early days. We considered making contact, but in the end decided against it. They were an exceedingly violent race, and many would kill one another for the smallest detail. Self-termination also seemed to be something they would resort to with little or no good reason. In fact, the entire race seemed insane. Long-term observation showed that after hatching, the individual would slowly but surely succumb to psychosis, to the point where none reached old age. In fact, the only reason this race had not yet gone extinct was its combination of high birth rates, short lifespans, and a child being able to defend itself hours after birth. In any other race, this bizarre affliction can, and did, drive them to extinction. For nearly 700 years, mankind grew and expanded. We never found another living race during that time, or find out how we were immune. Many came up with theories, but none fit better than any other. Ethnic, religious, and cultural differences became less important when you were away from Earth. And in the end, those who could not agree simply chose to live on another world. The United Terran Alliance controlled over 87% of mankind's colonies from its seat of power on Earth. A few rogue factions cropped up, piracy and smuggling saw rebirth in this new space age, and mankind went on as it always had. Then, a moment that would change our history came. The UTA dreadnought Supremacy was a city in space, constructed with our most advanced technologies to the point where systems were being updated during construction and having a length of nearly 7 miles. It was the mightiest ship we had ever created. The Supremacy was sent to investigate a new world our long-range sensors showed had space-age technology upon it. It was farther out than we had ever traveled before, but not by much. It was assumed that this would be just another dead world, that we might find some usable raw materials pre-harvested in the form of abandoned constructions in orbit. But what we found was an outpost of a spacefaring race. Its people, still alive and well. Dozens of ships were in orbit around an empty, rocky world, along with a space dock to repair and refuel them. They were remarkably primitive compared to our own, and much, much smaller. The largest was perhaps the length of a football field, if that. From the scarring and damage, along with the derelict ships floating nearby of a different make, they'd been fighting not too long ago. Our first contact did not go well. We later pieced together what happened, and it went something like this. As soon as we appeared on top of them, the race known as the Kandar were sent to the edge of panic, as they were now staring at what might have been at the time the largest spaceship in the galaxy. Their commander tried to keep a disaster from occurring and ordered his ships not to open fire. But communications on both sides failed. We ourselves had long ago stopped carrying any equipment or training our crew for first encounters, and apparently the Kandar had not had any first encounters of their own in hundreds of years. It also didn't help that our subspace communications were just advanced enough that the garbled words the poor Kandar picked up on their outdated systems sounded horribly sinister, even by the wide standards of the galaxy as it now was. And then the breaking point. One of the Kandar gunmen on the closest ship had a panic attack after hearing our garbled transmission. He fired upon the Supremacy, which in a placating gesture had lowered its shields. The shot was able to breach the hull at a single point and cost the lives of 3 crewmen. The captain of the Supremacy ordered the shields raised and a warning shot fired. Unlucky for the Kandar, the concept of warning shots was alien to them, and they did not stop to ask why the single shot had missed. It was a short fight. The Supremacy blew away a single craft to secure its escape vector. A sad but necessary tactic. This only hurt our reputation further with what happened later. As we soon discovered, nearly 3% of the galaxy was part of what was widely known as the Veil of Madness. Any race within this sector would slowly but surely succumb to psychosis. Short jaunts were safe enough, but more than that, and permanent damage to the mind would result. We had apparently been sitting in the galactic equivalent of the Bermuda Triangle, and had finally breached its edge. When the Kandar realized that both our entrance and escape vectors led directly into the Veil, a panic started. With surprising speed, news spread among their people and among others of what had happened. And of course, the story grew worse with each retelling, especially once it left official military channels. Tales of the Titanic black ship that came from beyond the veil, sent out signals in a horrid dark language, obliterated dozens of the Kandar's finest warships for no reason, and then vanished like a ghost, soon spread everywhere. Humanity had become the boogeymen of the galaxy. Raids from pirate groups further cemented our dark reputation. But in time, we came to work with the role. Every attempt to convince people that we wanted fair negotiation was seen as deception. So, rather than fight a losing battle, we played into the role given to us. Soon we were seen as wicked but not unreasonable, and gained both fear and respect throughout the galaxy. Few humans appeared in view of aliens outside of deliberately frightening power armor, and human ambassadors used voice synthesizers to sound like that first distorted transmission had. Looking back, it's actually worked out in our favor. After years of contact, most alien races know almost nothing about humans, other than exaggerated horror stories. They rarely bother us, and the ones that do never return home. In the end, the data we gathered on the veil offered no comfort. Few instruments could penetrate its depths, and every mind that looked beyond it eventually broke. Every species that sought to comprehend it erased by its own unraveling. We endured not because we were stronger, but because the madness found nothing in us it could break. The other races called it the Veil of Madness. For us, it was only a mirror. And in that reflection, we saw only emptiness, while the galaxy saw a visage so monstrous, it destroyed itself in fear.